countdown.
Hello, everybody.
Howdy.
Hi everyone.
We're hoping you guys can hear us really well. We've been experiencing some, well, actually, StreamYard has been experiencing some technical difficulties. The app that we use in order to broadcast to you has been experiencing some difficulties with sound. So if you can't really hear us or you hear some static, just let us know in the comments and we'll see if we can kind of adjust some things. How is everybody? I'm going to go ahead and share the stream. So I'm hoping you are too. I'm sharing, we're on Twitter, on Periscope now. If you guys didn't know that, which is kind of cool. Give me one moment to share our stream here. I think we're going to have a good chat today. What you guys think?
I'm excited.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay, let's see here.
We had some heavy shows in the past few weeks, so a little lighthearted.
Well, yeah, we had our cult versus cult show last week. That was actually a lot of fun. And if you guys missed it, you can catch the replay on Twitter. I mean, sorry, on YouTube or on our Glass Table page. We're actually having a second part next week, so that should be cool. Let's see here. And we are officially streaming to Twitter now. Yay! So where should we start? Let's see. Let me see if I can pull up our handy dandy little presentation here. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Yay! So we're gonna start at movies we weren't allowed to watch. So if you are new to our stream, we are Ex Jehovah Witnesses. I know we're streaming in a lot of different groups, not just Ex Jehovah Witness groups, which we primarily stream in. But Jehovah Witnesses had a ton of rules about what movies we could watch, could or could not watch. It would be infiltrated in the magazines. We would hear it in Sundays, what people would call sermons. I mean, we heard all the time about like why we shouldn't watch certain movies, like violent movies. What else?
Sexual movies, movies with magic. It's on the next slide actually.
Okay, let's get into it. Oh, there we go.
So here you can see they have a very like strict thing about not watching anything much more explicit than PG-13. No violence, no sexual scenes, no cursing, no drug use or alcohol consumption, no magic, spirituality or religion, and no politics. These are the main things that I gathered and I could recall. But I'm sure you guys could possibly remember more things that they frowned upon.
I think that about covers it. We couldn't watch PG-13 was kind of risque. For my household, yeah, like PG-13 was kind of risque. Oh, magic. That pretty much covers everything.
Yeah, in Hungary we don't even have PG-13. We have 12, 15, 16, 18, and 21 for porn.
Oh yeah, well, porn is definitely out, but I know like anything that seemed it wasn't necessarily magic, but you couldn't explain what happened. Like what happened, my mother was just like, no. Like if it wasn't a natural explanation for something happening in the movie as opposed to a supernatural maybe
Mm.
explanation, then she was just like, no.
Yeah, that's why one of my movies that I wasn't supposed to watch is Iron Man, because he was like a super scientist, and it's like, no, you can't have that in the world. So we weren't
But
allowed to
that
watch
that
Iron Man.
list, the list you just read out, just took out 99.9% of the films. So
Right.
Right.
like we were left like with hardly any films that we could watch.
Exactly.
Okay. And so who put Sister Act up to a Sister Act up here? That's one of
Me.
my favorite movies.
So these are the films that we wasn't really supposed to watch as Jehovah's Witnesses,
Yes.
but we did. So like I love Sister Acts, but considering like it was about, as it says there, a worldly singer witnesses a mob crime, the police hide her as a nun. So because that film had lots of like hymn singing, and it was based on like a criminal theme kind of thing, I'm surprised that like we was even allowed to watch it, but we was. But then there was other people that were like, you shouldn't be watching that. And then the other one I watched was Demolition Man. Like I shouldn't really have watched that. I went to the cinema with my friend, and I watched it, but I didn't really like tell my parents anything about it. Because like as it said, it was ultraviolet, and there was violent, there was swearing in it. But my mum says like, was there anything bad in it? I says, oh yeah, they just swore once. So I was like, okay. But that became like one of my favourite films. And then obviously Braveheart. Like I went to see that 8 times at the cinema. I went to go 9th time, but it had gone off. But that's like full of blood and guts, swearing. And there's one classic line in there where one of the dudes is like, the Almighty tells me he can get me out of this mess, but he's pretty sure you're fucked. And like I just thought that line was hilarious, but like I could never repeat that like in front of my parents, obviously, because I was like, yeah, it's an okay film. It's not too bad.
Well, that's crazy because I mean, I guess my mom allowed me to watch Sister Act. Demolition Man would have been out. Braveheart was out. We couldn't watch that. I mean, anything like with violence, she was just like, no. About.
I just played it down of what was in them.
And one of my favorite movies. This is actually an R-rated movie. Like if you guys are familiar with the movie of the Five Heartbeats, it's actually an R-rated movie, but it was based on the Temptations, who was like a mega group based out of my hometown here in Detroit, in Motown, and yeah, so they sung a lot of old school like doo-wop songs and stuff like that, and there was some raunchy scenes in there, but not really. But because it was like based on a music group, I guess we were allowed to watch it. You know, I don't know why. I mean, it wasn't like because it wasn't. It was based on like a biography of a group that actually existed, and it happens to be that my parents loved the group that this was based on, so I guess this was okay. And A Silence of the Lambs. Now, please tell me y'all saw that. This was scary to me. Anybody saw this?
I saw it and I've read the
Oh my
book.
God.
Not as a JW, I wouldn't have been allowed to watch that.
Okay, so yeah, I only saw this on TV at first. You know, because remember the TV versions of the movies, they would cut out all the cursing. They would cut out the really, really raunchy scenes here. So I saw the TV version of Silence of the Lambs for a long time. And then when I left, I was able to see the real one. I was like, oh my gosh, Hannibal Lecter is a psychopath. Because you get to see all the blood and all this stuff. And you remember he put the guy's face on his face? And
Yeah.
yeah, it was a lot. Yeah. And I'm gonna get you, sucker. That was like, it's a black exploitation film. So yeah, another one that was kind of rated R, but we was allowed to watch it because actually the two people who are in the movie who started the movie were Jehovah's Witnesses, the
Wait,
Waynes.
what?
Yeah, so I guess because they figured they came from a Jehovah's Witness family, it was not bad for us to watch.
Right.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it was really bad. As you can see, he's talking about the ghetto, drug overdose, all kind of stuff. It was a lot. It was a comedy, like to make fun of movies like that. It was like a spoof or a parody. But yeah, we were allowed to watch that because it was J Dubs, starring in it, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's see. Iron Man. That's what you was talking about earlier.
Yeah, okay, so here are the 3 movies that I wasn't supposed to watch, but I watched. And one of them is Iron Man, which I mentioned. Uh, he's a cocky character, he's a scientist, and, we were like, oh my god, this doesn't exist in the real world, you cannot explain it, so you cannot watch it. Basically, that was the point of why El Dorado, or the Road to El Dorado, sorry. Well, obviously there were like Maya rituals in it and all that, so you couldn't watch it. Plus, my JW adoptive mom said they are kind of gay to the first, to the 2 main characters. So we were like, okay, no. And then Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi original, like 2002 version of Spider-Man, that is. We weren't supposed to watch because, again, it's unexplainable by the usual natural, like, Jehovah way of things. So we were not supposed to watch, but we watched anyway. And plus, I had the advantage of living in a worldly family for a chunk of, of the time, so I got away with more than most could. So
I wonder if kids watch the Avengers and Spider-Man as J Dubs. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, because this stream is shared in a Jehovah's Witness group, why don't you let us know whether or not you guys can actually watch the Avengers and stuff like that? Because obviously, when all this stuff came out, I was a grown ass woman, so I wasn't a kid. And so I'm just wondering, like, are these okay for you to go to the
I don't think
theater to
so.
watch?
I don't think so, especially with the most recent ones featuring stuff like the Scarlet Witch and magic and aliens and all that. And I don't think they would approve of that. But I'm curious. Yeah, do share.
Probably
Do you
not.
watch? Do you watch Marvel movies?
Right. I just don't see Jehovah's Witnesses not going to see any Marvel. But I don't know, because like you said, it is kind of Scarlet Witch. But she wasn't in all of them, wasn't she? Was she?
Yeah, she wasn't, but
She was.
there is like an overarching theme of like Thanos and all the supernatural stuff that.
Yeah,
So,
you probably not.
I went to see Batman as a JW, so I went with a load of JW. So I think it just depends, like, on people's
family.
personal choice. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it really depends on how your family is.
And I just want to say hello, Angela.
Hi, Angela.
Thanks for joining us from YouTube. Joe says he took his father to see Black Panther and he's an elder and he loved it. So now I thought Black Panther might be an iffy one because of the fact that, my where it was based out in Africa and some of the supernatural elements of them, the spirituality being like totally different than Western culture. But I guess so. I guess the elder went to go see it. Okay, so the next few slides we're going to talk about. Oh, Howard said he saw Black Panther too. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. I was so my kids was just tore up about the fact that Black Panther.
He was a great man through and through. Just a great man through and through.
So the next few slides are movies we have secretly watched as JWs. This should be interesting.
So these are mine. Youngblood. It was a film about an ice hockey guy, and I remember we used to watch this when we went to visit my dad, who wasn't a JW. And there was some like sex scenes in it. And back then, this is like on VHS videotape. So if my dad wasn't in the room, I'd like fast forward the sex part, so my brother and sister didn't have to like sit through it. But like there was loads of fighting and swearing and that kind of stuff. But that film got me into like ice hockey films from then on. And then there were screamers, and me and my sister told my mum and dad that we were going shopping. So we went to the cinema and we went and watched this film, which was an 18. And it was basically about these robots that were made to kill people, and there's 3 different types. And one of the types was like a round disc with, it's like a saw basically, and it would come up out the floor and chop people up. So we come out of the cinema in the afternoon, and we did actually go shopping then, but we were looking around the floor all the time, expecting like these things like to come up out the floor else. But I recently brought that on DVD just for like the whole memory thing. And then The Craft. I went with my JW friend to watch The Craft, and that really, I was still just about in then. It was just before I left, and I was still like kind of wanting to go into witchcraft then, because it made me really like curious about it. So then one of the first things I did when I left as well, I went round hunting to find these metal goblets to drink my red wine out of, like they did in the film. And I remember I ended up going into the church because my friend was like, well, they're going to sell goblets in the church. And that's when I walked in and I just went, oh my God, it's fucking beautiful. And she was like, Emma, you can't swear in a church. But it just came out because I'd never been in a church before. And then eventually I managed to find these metal goblets in an antique shop. So for years and years after watching this film, I drank my red wine out of goblets. And through the book in this film, she was just amazing. And I think that was my first known, consciously to myself, girl crush after watching this film, because I just thought she was great, she was hot, and I wanted to be her after watching that. But obviously we never told anyone that we watched those 3 films. It was
Okay, let's see what else we got up here. Oh, this is me. Okay, so yeah. How was I supposed to miss Boys in the Hood? That is like a hood classic. You can't, I mean, they would revoke my black card if I didn't watch Boys in the Hood. So, of course, I had to watch it. And I don't even know if let's see, it was just about I'll just read it off. A boy living with his father in South Central LA. And back then, you know, like Eazy-E and a lot of Ice Cube and, you know, West Side Connection and all of that. That was really big. So it was like the soundtrack was hype, you know. And of course, I couldn't have the soundtrack because at that time they started labeling CDs and cassettes back then with the parent advisory, which my mother was like super psycho about.
Snitches.
But yeah, it's about gang culture and about raising kids, trying to get them. I won't give it away because y'all need to see it. You need to see it. And Scarface, that's also a classic. I like a lot of shoot 'em up movies. I just realized that by looking at this. Nice. Al Pacino I love him because one of my favorite movies, like we'll get there later, is Godfather, and I loved him in Godfather. Even though Godfather is kind of problematic, probably would be canceled now because of some of the stuff that's in it. You know, how they treated minorities and some of the slang words that they use, slurs and stuff for gays and stuff like that. It's probably not really a good film to watch in this era, but back in the day, this particular film was, it was a shoot 'em up. It was really bloody. It was a chainsaw scene that changed my life, and I didn't watch a lot of violent movies after that. And then set it off. That's another hood classic movie. They was robbing banks. I'm usually a person that like roots for the bad guy. Is that horrible? Like, I love the villains. I love a bad guy. I know they're not gonna win in the end, but I hope they almost do. Like, the closer they get to like beating the good guy, I get. That's why I love Avengers, the one where Thanos like wipe everybody out.
Yeah,
that made sense to me.
In all honesty, in most of the horror movies today, never mind. We will get to that when we talk about horror movies. I'm a shut up.
Oh yeah, Dead Presidents. That was another one. Yep, another hood classic. And Joe brought up The Matrix. I don't know if we
Mm,
included that, but The Matrix was a good one that everybody snuck and seen. Because,
yeah.
I don't really. Joe said it was because of the violence, but it wasn't like, I don't think you really saw blood in The Matrix, if I can recall. It was, you didn't see blood, but you saw like it was appearance. It's kind of like the Avenger movies. Like you don't really actually see blood in Avenger movies,
I think it
Marvel movies.
might just be because of the whole like pill thing to wake you up. Anyway,
Mm.
so these are my 3 movies that I secretly watched as a JW. One of them is Scary Movie 3, which we watched with my adoptive JW sisters whenever her parents were out of the house. And for the obvious reasons, we weren't allowed to watch. It featured a lot of gore, a lot of gratuitous cursing and sex scenes and all that. And it's an old hilarious movie. So, um, if you're looking for a good, like, funny, funny movie that spoofs horror, then I think that's a great pick to pick up.
Hey,
And then
what's
the
Wayne
first
is
Harry
in
Potter
that
movie,
one?
so Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just asking, was the Wayne is
I
in the
think
Scary
so.
movie 3?
I think so. Yeah. And then Harry Potter, that was one of the first movies I watched secretly alone and actually kept it a secret, like very much a secret, because obviously witchcraft and all that. And to this day, the Harry Potter books are one of my favorites, even though obviously the writer of Excuse My Street, even though obviously the author is not a good person, it seems. And then Aladdin was obviously a classic, obviously not allowed because of the genie reasons and all that. So, so obviously, whenever I watched it, I kept it a secret because because they definitely wouldn't allow you to watch stuff like that.
Oh yeah, the genie was out. Even though there were select Disney movies we could watch, but the genie one was just like it's totally out. Can you guys hear
Yeah,
me? Yeah. Again, we're having some
yeah.
sound issues. Let us know in the comments if you can,
Yeah,
if
Molly
it's
has a bit of a
better.
crackle
Can
going
you
on
guys
there.
hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Uh,
can hear you. Can you hear us?
It was just major
hang on.
crackling.
Yeah. Is it
Can you say something?
better this way?
It's
I don't
less
know.
crackly, but you are quiet.
Yeah. The joys of live
We can't
streaming.
win, can we?
No.
Well done.
It's still. I mean, let us know if you can hear Molly or not in the comments. Yeah, because Joe said we were breaking up a little.
Shit.
We can still hear you, Molly. Maybe if you just talk a bit louder.
Yeah, now you got to be loud like me.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
That's better.
Okay, so the
My two
next few
neighbors.
slides, we're going to talk about horror movies we first watched. That should be fun. Oh gosh, I can't with these covers.
That's me. Hi, everyone. uh, so one of the first horror movies I ever watched was Saw. Um, and well, I first of all, it terrified the shit out of me because I just started treatment for my suicidality just then, and the first movie features someone suicidal being kidnapped and all that because he's suicidal. So I was like, oh, Maybe that was not a good choice to watch. And there's the Shining, which is, well, obviously it's an all-time classic. Both the original Stephen King story and the Kubrick version. And no one, like literally no other writer gets me creeped out like Stephen King does. And he's one of my favorite authors since I left the organization. And Nightmare on Elm Street was very dicey for me. I actually watched it with friends because I was like super scared that it would trigger my insomnia, because I always have like had weird night terrors. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe that movie I will pass on, but it's a great movie, and Freddy Krueger as a character is a lot of fun to watch.
Yay. And let's see here. Angela, I'm sorry, just covering up Emma a little bit, but it says she wasn't allowed to watch Dirty Dancing. I remember that. That was one of my mother's favorite movies. That was a movie that my mom snuck in her room and closed the door and watched, so we wouldn't know that she was watching. So maybe she should be on this broadcast or stuff, sneaking and watching movies. But yeah,
I mean, I just watched a movie. Like, I follow a lot of like book and movie commentary channels because I'm a writer myself, and I think that the best way to learn the craft is learning those who succeeded and examining what they are doing and what they are not doing. And they analyzed the like original Dirty Dancing movie and how it represents coming into your own as a woman and coming into your femininity, and my mind was like, and really? Anyway, it's an amazing movie.
I wasn't allowed to watch it, but some elders' wives, it was their favourite.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to you guys, that I noticed that some people are commenting on the post. If you click in the post in some of the groups, so I'll go ahead and read some of your comments. But if you can actually click into the stream, and if you comment on the stream, we can flash your comments across the screen. So anyway, we have Alvin in the XJ Cafe. He says his own sister in the USA snitched to the elders when I told her I had seen The Ugly Truth when I lived in Canada. It was certificate 14A in Canada, but R in the USA. I was a 38-year-old grown-ass man. The witnesses, they love snitching. They are, they don't care how old you are. You can get snitched on. That's for sure. Then we have another person in another group commenting, saying that they were not allowed to watch Grease, Towering Inferno. There's another comment in another group here, and they said that they weren't allowed to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is totally understandable. Why that would be like not allowed. That's like a huge no.
Yeah.
So these are my 3 horrors that I first watched. Interview with the Vampire. I loved Brad Pitt in this, and then after this I made sure that I had to read the books, and this film like totally got me straight into vampires. And then there's Child's Play. Like, obviously, like, it came out in 1988 and everyone at school was talking about it. Everyone was talking about Child's Play, and I couldn't find a way to secretly watch that film because I didn't know anybody that had it. But to this day I still would not own a Chucky doll because there's something about dolls that are possessed scare the shit out of me. Like ceramic dolls, people like have shelves of ceramic dolls in their houses, and I would not go in a room like that because they scare me.
Or those reborn dolls. I don't know if you heard of those.
Oh, yeah, I've seen plenty of those. And then The Exorcist, which like is an absolute old classic. So one of the first ones I had to watch, and it's scary, but it's funny at the same time. Like when that one line, "Your mother sucks cocks in hell." Like some parts of that film, it's a bit like, whoa, that's scary, but it's so funny as well. So yeah, they were like the first 3 horrors I think that I ended up watching.
I remember it used to be a time when I was younger, like every year they would re-release The Exorcist around Halloween.
Mm.
And every time I would see it, I don't care how fake it looks, it look real to me.
Like
And
when
it
the
would
head
freak
turns
me out.
round.
Yeah, or the
Nothing had been
vomit.
like that in a film before, like that drastic. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I hear it's based on a real, allegedly a real story. A Catholic told me. No, it was based on a real
Yeah.
story. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, James Thompson. I think you're new to our live stream. I was trying not to laugh when I read this comment. Waiting to Excel. I don't know if y'all remember. Well, no, Waiting to Excel had Whitney Houston, Angela Bassett, a few other. It was like 4 women. They were bonding, and this infamous scene where Angela Bassett like take her man's clothes when he was trying to leave her, and he burns her. She burns the clothes in the driveway. He's saying that this movie, a group of ministerial servants in his hall was deleted because they took their wives to see that. These is
Wow.
grown men taking their wives to see a movie. Hey Rebecca, joining us from
Hi.
YouTube. She said the
Angela,
Matrix as well.
Angela Bassett is a baddie though.
Oh, she is, and for her to
She's
be
great.
there, I think she like in her 50s. She just celebrated her 50th birthday. I thought, or was it 60? I think she in her 60s now. She don't look it. She don't
She
look
looks
it.
like she looks like 30 max.
Everything
Wow.
she's in, she's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't laugh. This is about as scary as it gets for me, y'all. This is about as scary as I remember seeing Scream for the first time, and I was over somebody else's, another Jehovah Witnesses house. It was my best friend at the time, and her mom allowed her to watch it. Okay, my mom didn't allow me to watch it, so I'm over spending the night at her house. Scream comes on, and if I remember, this is the one with Drew Barrymore was in it.
Yeah.
I think she's in the opening scene or whatever.
Yeah, it's her first like feature movie role, I think.
And then I think this scene that sticks in my mind is the like a guy getting like caught by a garage door or something like that. Like that just and then the guy in the scream, like I couldn't take those scream masks because that was so popular. I remember in Halloween around here, everybody was walking around with scream masks. People was robbing banks with scream masks. It was just, I don't know. Yeah, that just, if I see the shape of that mask now, it probably would freak me out.
Can I share 2 funny stories about this movie? First of all, my best friend lost his horror movie virginity with this movie as well, and he demanded that he slept over at my place and we were alone, and he demanded that we sleep with the butcher's knife in my hand because I would be like crazy enough to attack someone if they break in and try to kill us. And then the second is we were going somewhere with my mom, and I was just vibing. The music was on, and I was just vibing when I noticed a scream mask staring at me from another car. I was like, what the fuck? And we kept driving, and then the guy in the other car, as we pulled up, he was laughing his ass off. I was like, oh my god.
Well, look, I know it's probably people might think that there's a lot scarier movies than Scream, but like in this day, it was scary as I don't know what. It was scary.
I mean, to be honest, those kinds of movies are the fucking scariest.
Yeah, like stuff that can really happen.
Exactly. Like I'm not scared of no ghosts and demons and ghouls and witches and all that. I'm, by discernible evidence, they don't exist. But psycho murderers that can break down doors and murder you, they do. That freaks me out.
That happens. Thank you for joining us, Mandolin. She said she was obsessed with the Alfred Hitchcock when she was little, and my mom and made her watch his movies. Same here. My parents were huge Alfred Hitchcock fans, but this particular movie scared the bejesus out of me. So much so that like when I would be out in field service for a long time, I would just be scared of birds. Because my father would say the scene where like it's this lady sitting in the park and it's like all these birds and stuff attacked her. He was like, "That's what the tribulation's gonna be like. The birds is gonna be waiting for a feast." So of course I was scared of the birds. And actually, when I see birds now, I still look at them a little sideways. Like, you better get them moving, because some of these birds now, they don't even move when they come in contact with you. Well, the city birds don't. The city birds, they gangster. They don't
My
fly
great
away.
nan had, sorry, my
No,
great nan had bird phobia, and I asked her why, and she said because of that film. She never
really?
forgot it. She wouldn't even have pictures of birds on the wall or anything like that. She hated them that much
I
because of
mean,
that film.
you all know that the main actress in this movie, what's her name? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Elizabeth. Anyway, the main actress in this movie, she actually had like a phobia of birds, and she
Really?
told, yeah, and the crazy story is she told that, like when she was offered the role, she told Hitchcock, "Look, bro, we can work with like fake birds, but if you let any actual real birds in my vicinity, I will lose my shit." And you probably know that that movie used actual real birds. That poor woman was like super traumatized by it, but in I'm not sure. Did anyone have the Psycho on her
Mm,
on our list?
no, I
Well,
don't think so.
in that too, the main actress to this day, I'm not sure if she's alive still or not, but to this day, she could not take showers from having shot that scene in Psycho when she stepped in the shower because she was like,
Good catch, Anthony Wilson. He said Drew Barrymore was in E.T. in 1982. Yes, she was. She was the little girl.
oh
And Firestarter in 1984. Drew Barrymore has had a long career. She's been a child. She was a child actor.
yeah, she's
Joe
great.
Mitchell says that his parents said the same thing about the birds.
I've
Yeah,
never watched it, I've never watched The Birds.
you okay? It probably used to be really super cheesy now, but like I hadn't seen anything that scary. I think I watched it when I was like 7 or 8 or something like that. That was the scariest thing I had ever seen up until that point.
Okay, but if you want to see something very funny,
Hey, Daisy Lilies, are you saying you're from Israel?
Oh, wow.
That
wow.
would be nice. I think I've talked to you in private message. Thanks for
If you
joining us
want
on
to,
the live stream. And Anthony says The Birds was his favorite Alfred Hitchcock film. And Angela says that in Australia they have birds. Yes, they were. I remember being down in the downtown Detroit area here, and a bird. I'm gonna tell you how gangster these birds. They walk up on you. They take food out of your hand, and this lady was holding a sandwich, and this bird just swooped down and grabbed the sandwich out of her hand. I'm like, wow. And see, uh,
The
Anthony,
seagulls do that here.
Anthony says he can
Oh,
leave the
okay.
birds.
Yeah, the seagulls are like that here. They're dead cheeky. They'll just come and nick the food off you.
Yeah,
yeah,
they were, James. City birds, gangsters. They was for real. They
they be
walk up on you.
gangsters. They be gangsters
What?
for real.
I know what you did last summer. Okay, I thought this was like a good suspense movie. So like, I could actually watch this again now. I would not watch Scream again right now because now I've been there, done that. I don't need to watch it again, or The Birds. But I know what you did last summer actually had a really good storyline. Has anybody ever saw those Final Destination films?
I started
Oh,
watching them
Yes.
the other day. I love it.
I think they're a bit predictable, though. You just know what's going to happen.
so the whole plot is that people like fate is
Mm.
deciding your fate or something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know what made me just think of that, but yeah. Now
Oh,
that I thought about watching those.
about birds. About birds, there's a movie that tried to be birds in like the early mid 2000s, and it's super funny. Uh, it's called Birdemic, and the 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 CGI director quit on the project, so the writer of the movie script script actually did the special effects in like paint. It's hilarious. You'll have to watch that like ironic.
Did Molly freeze? Oh.
Yeah, she's freezing and crackling.
Oh yeah.
Poltergeist. Now I heard of that one. The static on the TV and stuff. Considered demonic. That's funny. Let's see.
I wanna watch that.
Is that movies against Jehovah Witnesses? Yeah, all of these were rated R, so no way you could watch this as a Jehovah Witness. Anthony says that he loves the kill scene. See, okay, now see now you got me backing off of the Final Destination, Anthony.
I was gonna tell you, Spence, like there is some gory death scenes in it.
Oh gosh, no.
I love me some gory death scenes, especially when, like in modern horror movies, so many of the characters are super obnoxiously stupid. Like you hear someone break a window and you go investigate. No, bitch, you go grab a knife and murder a fucker.
Or someone's chasing you, so you go into the bathroom. Who does that?
Or you go upstairs. No, you don't go upstairs because you won't be able to jump out the window.
Exactly. They run upstairs and hide in the bathroom when they could have just run out the house. It doesn't make sense.
Exactly. One of the best modern horror movies with like home invasion type of thing is Hush. I don't know if you have seen it, but oh my god, the main character and the antagonist have such good like matchup. Like they are both smart and cunning, and it's just superb to watch them like try to kill each other. It's amazing.
Thank you guys for joining us in the groups here. Again, if you actually click on the live that on the post that I shared, they'll take you right into our actual stream and where you can comment there and your comments can show up on the screen here. But someone else says in response to the question, what movies were you not allowed to watch as a Jehovah's Witness? I won't read the names here. Let's see. Someone said anything and everything. Another person said anything PG or higher rated. Used to hear that PG stood for pure garbage. I think you know what? My father used to say PG stood for pretty good. But yeah, I can see somebody saying that from a stage. Somebody else said Beavis and Butthead do America. I can remember like yesterday an elder talking about them on the stage. That's one thing about the Jehovah's Witnesses. They will name drop movies and stuff in a minute. So our next segment is first movies we watched after we left. Now that we are allowed because we are ex-Jehovah's Witnesses now. So this should be good. Let's see. We have... Oh, this is cool.
So these are mine.
Okay.
The friend I've spoke about before that was a non-Jehovah's Witness that I kept as my best friend and I left in 96. So obviously she was responsible for introducing me to some films and she was obsessed with Rocky Horror Picture Show. So she made me watch it and I've never really been into musicals and it took me a while and to watch this film a few times before I really got it, especially because like Jehovah's Witnesses are against the whole transsexual thing and stuff that happened in the film. So like the more I watched it, the more I became to like the film, and I even went and watched it live at a theatre because now like I absolutely love it. Then there was Dusk Till Dawn. Obviously I wanted to watch more vampire films, so this was just like such a great film, like George Clooney, Quentin Tarantino, Harvey Keitel, Juliette Lewis, such a fantastic lineup, and they were just like so great in this film. And the one memory I have, because we were watching this on VHS, there was a scene where Quentin Tarantino has killed a lady in the hotel and she's dead on the bed, and it just flashes up bits of the murder scene in the film for a few seconds at a time. So I remember me and my boyfriend, we just kept like rewinding the tape and trying to pause it so we could just like see this murder scene properly. And it was like quite graphic, but you know, I'm a true crime nerd, so I was like, no, we need to go back and like pause it and watch it all. And then Train Spotting, that was like one of the first films that really opened my eyes to the whole drug scene. Because obviously we were so protected from the whole everyone taking ecstasy and all that kind of thing. And that was another film as well. I had to watch it a couple of times until I really appreciated like how clever and in depth the film was. And I'll never forget, like, there's two scenes in that film. The one where Begbie's sitting there chatting in the pub and they're on a balcony and he's got this pint glass and he just throws it over his shoulder. And then this lady screams and he goes downstairs and he's like, a wee lassie got glassed. No cunt leaves here until I find out what cunt did it. And then he's just like, whoa, and like goes to headbutt someone and get into the fight. And it's just like, whoa. And then there's another scene where, I can't remember his name, the other lad, he's shit the bed and he's trying to sneak the sheets into the washing machine. And his girlfriend's mom's like, no, I'll take them. He's like, no, I'll take him. And they're pulling back and forth on this sheet. And then one lets go and it just, and it's just like, oh my God, like, obviously shit just flies everywhere. And it's just like, but that film made me like huge Robert Carlyle, Ewan McGregor fans. I just love those. Like every film they've been in since then has just been great.
I thought I knew every film Quentin Tarantino was in. I have never seen that. I'm going to try to watch Dusk
an amazing
and the Dawn
film.
today.
It's an amazing film.
I can't watch. And did he direct this one?
Yeah, and he's in it as well.
Because the way you describe the murder scenes is totally his cinematography style.
Yeah, but also there's they pull up at this place in Mexico and it's called the Titty Twister, and they don't realise at the time when they're going to the pub that after dark everyone turns into vampires. So I think I've mentioned before that me and my friend, even though it doesn't exist, we said if either of us win the Euro lottery, we're going to Mexico to look for the Titty Twister, just for like an excuse to go to Mexico. It's a great film.
Katrina says Exorcist 2. She said she thought demons were after her for months. That is the craziest thing. Watching a film you're not supposed to actually see as a Jehovah's Witness and just plagued by it for months. Like it's something you shouldn't have done or like be scared of it. Thinking demons was in your room. I used to sleep with the lights on, all kind of stuff. Let's see. Oh gosh, American Psycho. I watched 10 minutes of that and I was done.
Okay, I'm not sure how people are gonna look at me after this show. Anyway, American Psycho was also one of the first movies that I watched after I left because first of all, I heard good stuff about it, and then second of all, the story intrigued me to no end. And to this day, I think it's a great suspense movie, especially the fact that you never find out if he really did it or... Never mind. I'm not gonna spoil the ending, do I? And the second is Fight Club, which is, in all honesty, a great fucking movie all around. The acting, the direction, the writing, everything just matches up so well. And it is the major inspiration between one of my all-time favorite series, Mr. Robot. So I thank this movie for existing and being amazing and inspiring Mr. Robot. And the third movie is Failed, which is a Scottish movie. And James McAvoy plays in it, and he plays a drug-addicted, very crooked, corrupt cop. And the movie is just so great in representing the self-loathing and the self-hatred of the character, and you hate the character and you love the character, like you relate to the character, but then you also want to punch him because he's just such an unbearable asshole. And
I read the book. I didn't know there was a film.
Yeah, it's amazing. And in all honesty, first of all, James McAvoy is an amazing actor. Second of all, I love his Scottish accent. Like, I just love it.
Oh, you can kill me with an accent. I'm a kill.
And
I melt over an accent now, y'all.
and this is not the cover picture actually for the movie. This is a picture from a scene, but I thought it would be better than the cover picture. The cover picture is him riding a pig, and I thought this is better.
Yeah, there's a pig on the front of the book, but yeah, the
Yeah,
book is horrible. So
he,
yeah.
he is. Oh, ooh,
I
very.
like I like Fight Club. I could tolerate it. I didn't
Fight
watch
Club
it.
is amazing. I love Fight Club.
I, I can never say your name. I'm sorry. Don't make. I'm sorry if I mess it up. A deal. He said when he was young, his JW parents found his copy of The Matrix. I tried to point out to them that if you look at the case, it was PG in Canada, so the JW kids in Canada were all right to watch it, but US not so much. That is crazy. That is goes to show you how inconsistent some of the policies are depending on where you live. Cause literally, I mean, so like the JW kids in U.S. got in trouble with the Canada. That's crazy. Let's see. Thank you for the people that's joining us on Twitter and Periscope. I see you guys peeking in and out. You can stay. So one of the first movies I wanted to see was The Best Man. It was about it was one of those films where around the time I remember there was a lot of slave movies coming out, and I have to pick and choose which movies of those I can watch. And this, a lot of people like this because it was an original storyline. It was black actors in it. It was also black story writers. So it was about a guy in a wedding. It was just, I don't want to give it away. I think you should just watch it. And if you don't watch it, anything else for this fine man right here, they're right down there at the bottom round down there. I forgot his name, but yeah, he starred in a lot of different films. And then this one here changed my life. Malcolm X changed my life. I read the book, but Denzel Washington, I feel like he should have won an Oscar for this and not for the gangster movie he was in, which was, what was it? What was the name of the movie that he won an Oscar for? It'll come to me. But anyway, it was the first time I had read an autobiography by Malcolm X, and it was the first time that I felt woke as a black person watching it. And as if you are a black person in the organization, you are not really allowed to have to really talk about the cultural differences that you have and pride in some of your culture or not, whatnot. So this was like a awakening for me with black issues. And I always got Malcolm X always got a bad rap in schools. So it made me look at other films like Muhammad Ali and other civil rights leaders. Training Day. Thank you, Katrina. That's what he won the Oscar for, Training Day. But this was just so complex. And I'm a sucker for a Spike Lee film. He's just one of the greatest black filmmakers that there are. He opened a lot of doors for a lot of black people in the film industry. So, yeah, everybody kind of knows the story of Malcolm X, I guess, if you are familiar with a lot of black history. But Denzel brings it alive in a way that nobody can. And this was actually him at his finest, y'all. This is him at his peak beautifulness. Just look at this man. This is a beautiful man. Poetic Justice, I watched that because I like Tupac. And that's when I started getting into like rapper films and stuff like that. So none of these you'll find on the you must see 100 list,
Yeah.
Oscar list, but it's just like cult favorites for me and my family and stuff like that. So
Am I bad for saying one of my favorite rapper movies is Friday?
Friday, yeah, I can fit all the ones I loved on here. Friday is a cult classic. I love Friday. They supposed to be doing another one. We'll see.
Oh my God, really?
Our faves as Jehovah Witnesses. Now this should be interesting. Happy feet.
That's me. So yeah, Happy Feet. In all honesty, even though I thought I was straight back then, so forgive me, I was ignorant, but I related to to mumble because he didn't fit in, and I felt like I didn't fit in, and I just love the songs. I think the animation and the humor is great in the movie, and to this day, it's one of my favorite like animated movies, and I always dance and sing along with the songs because I think it's just a very cute movie, and I think it just shows something precious, like he saves the colony after all with his dancing, and I think that's super cute. And the second favorite was the Bicentennial Man about Andrew the robot who becomes more and more creative and more emotional over his 200 years of life. And that movie to this day is like very sad for me to watch because of the ending. The ending is just very sad for me. I'm not gonna spoil it, but the ending is just very sad. And then the third one is Night at the Museum. Uh, that movie is just amazing. It's hilarious, and I'm a very, very nerdy person. So history is one of my favorite subjects. And well, Ben Stiller is funny, and it has Robin Williams in it. It has actual people of color playing people of color. Like the indigenous characters are played by actual indigenous people and all that, and the pharaoh is played by an actual Egyptian, Rami Malek. And if you don't know who Rami Malek is, first of all, where have you been? And second of all, you need to watch Bohemian Rhapsody, Buster's Heart, and Mr. Robot, because that man can act a black hole into the universe. He's great.
I love Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller is so funny. I forget what's the name of
It's
the movie. He was
amazing.
like a model or something like that. Him and
Oh,
Owen.
Zoolander! Oh my
Oh
god!
my god, that is so funny.
Oh my
And I
god!
just
Yes.
noticed a pattern here. Even though I absolutely love Robin Williams, but this is like your third movie. Have you noticed that you chose with him in it? Aladdin, this one, and now Night in the Museum.
And also Bicentennial Man.
Right, that's what I mean. Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I
he's a
love
great
Robin
actor.
Williams.
Was anyway.
I love Robin Williams, and to this day, I just hate belts because of how he died. Because he reportedly hung himself with his belt. So I'm like, I don't wear belts anymore.
His wife and just recently did a I think a story in like probably New York Times
Mhm.
maybe saying that they did an autopsy on him and he was in like severe stages of dementia.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting. Angela says her favorite movies as a Jehovah Witness was Grease and The Sound of Music. I didn't get a
Mm.
chance to watch. I Sound of Music used to replay over and over on cable, and you would think I would know it. I know Julie Andrews is in it. And Grease, I love what's his name, John Travolta. So yeah, that's a good one. Let's see. Oh, these are mine. Don't ask me how we were able to watch Little Mermaid. My mom loved the singing. She loved the songs. I knew this movie backwards and forward. Like my sisters and I would actually act out the Little Mermaid in our room. We would put socks on our feet, like the ends of our feet, and put them together like it was a fan, and we would like swim around on the floor of our room. Anyway, they would just die if they knew that I was telling that story. But yeah, and Little Mermaid was one that I could watch. Titanic, oh my god, it's one of my. If I had a top 10 list of movies, Titanic would definitely be on it. James Cameron really outdid himself with cinematography. The
Mm-hmm.
shots that he got, especially the night shots, was just so beautiful. The
Right.
story, it was a love story. Uh, on top of the fact, I mean, I don't know. I guess it has some action because the Titanic actually sank. But yeah, and
Okay,
then
but
I love the main character, or the actress that played opposite of Leonardo DiCaprio, who,
oh,
by the
Kate
way, has
Winslet.
never won an Academy Award, I think, for Oscar
Kate
for
Winslet
whatever
is
reason.
amazing, yeah. But
She
you know
is
what? You know what's the most impressive thing about the Titanic, like the movie, is the fact that they only had, because James Cameron wanted to really make it real, they made a whole actual second Titanic to sink,
right.
and
I
they only had
remember
one
like
shot. They only had one shot to get it right because they didn't have money to rebuild. Like they had one shot to get that scene right when it hits the iceberg and how it breaks and how it sinks and everything. They only had one chance to get it right.
now James Cameron is one of my favorite filmmakers. I loved him
Hmm.
and it was Avatar. That was one of
Yeah.
my favorites. And he takes a long time with his films, but it's totally worth it. And Titanic was like ahead of its time when it
It,
came to
yeah.
cinematography and effects and stuff like that. So Night in the Roxbury is a comedy. I'm a huge Saturday Night Live fan. Like we couldn't watch much as Jehovah Witnesses, but my parents watched Saturday Night Live, so I know like characters go as far back as like, I remember watching SNL as far back as I don't know, like Eddie Murphy when he was actually appearing on there. But this was when he was spinning off into his own career. So if you have never seen, I don't want to spoil this. If you've never seen Will Ferrell in action in Night in the Roxbury, I'm goofy, so it was like totally funny. It was really funny to me. Let's see. Is this you, Emma?
Yep. So my favourite films as a JW, one, Princess Bride. I remember we went to our friend's house and she played this and she had it on VHS. But halfway through the film, it cut into some woman doing some hairdressing, and her younger sister had managed to like video some section over a bit of the film. So there's a part where like they're in the water with these eels, and I never ever got to see that part of the film until I actually bought the DVD myself, like in 1999, which was probably about 5, 6, 7 years after I'd watched the film. Um, and I had a major crush on Carrie Ells as well. Like even as a JW, I didn't like men with short hair, and he was there like with his long blonde hair, and the film was just like so great. Like there's such funny parts in it. Um, and then Mighty Ducks, that obviously another ice hockey film. Emilio Estevez was great in that film. The film's just like funny, sarcastic. It's just great. I had all three on VHS. When I got rid of them, I have now all three on DVD, and they're three DVDs that I will never get rid of because they're just such great films. And then The Cutting Edge was a film, also an ice hockey player. He can't play no more, so he becomes a figure skater. And I went and watched this at the cinema, and I told my mum that I really liked the film, and she brought me the VHS for our present day, which used to be on their anniversary. So I made all my friends watch it. And an old ex JW friend told me the other day that she remembers that I made her watch it, and it's still one of her favourite films. But the sarcasm in the film is just great, and I love like dark sense of humour, sarcasm. So yeah.
So, if you guys are familiar with Night in the Roxbury, Emilio Estevez is a running gag in that movie, The Mighty Ducks. I've never actually seen The Mighty Ducks, but I've
Great,
only
you should
seen
watch
the parodies of it and stuff like that. So, anyway, that's
I wanna
cool.
watch that movie so bad.
Princess Bride
Now
seems
that
like a classic that everybody should watch. I hear that all the time.
It's great.
Okay, our faves overall so far in life. That is so funny. Here we go. This must be, let me guess, Molly.
yeah. Okay, so well, Avengers Endgame is one of my all-time favorite movies because After I left, the first movie that I really got deeply into was Iron Man, and then that led me down this whole rabbit hole of watching like all the Marvel movies and reading like a bunch of comics and becoming a nerd that I am. And Avengers Endgame just did so great, in my opinion, with that. Just serving, the funny and magical bits of the comics, as well as doing justice to these characters with how
Their story ends. So I really, really loved that movie, and I cried like a baby when Iron Man died. And don't even come at me. That shit was like about the only time a movie made me cry loudly. I could not believe that that happened. Which is about a ballerina, and I was also a ballerina growing up. And the Swan Lake Ballet is one of the most iconic, most well-known it just is amazing to me. And Mila Kunis and Natalie Portman did super great in this movie, and the stunt dance doubles did a super great work on this movie. And then there's another Robin Williams movie, which is Good Morning Vietnam. It's genuinely one of the funniest and most touching movies I've ever seen. And we weren't allowed to watch for the obvious reasons. It was set in war and all that. And Robin Williams has a very rowdy and saucy sense of humor, and he's very sarcastic, especially in this movie. So we couldn't watch this as Jehovah's Witnesses, but once I left the organization, I just basically spent 3 days not even coming out of my room, just watching Robin Williams movies. And another movie by him that I think everyone should watch is Patch Adams. That movie is great, and it's one of the last movies he made to Patch Adams, and it's also a super touching movie as well.
All right. And these are mine. So, Star Wars is my ultimate. I am a Star Wars fan. Okay. I don't even know if I should say this, but I went to first Star Wars movie as a Jehovah's Witness. It was a date. It was like my first date. Anyway, and even though the date was pretty creepy, I did enjoy Star Wars. So that was like my first taste of it. And then my father used to watch all the time growing up, but I used to think it was so boring because it was so long. And then my mom wouldn't let us watch it because at some part, if at the end of like one of the first Star Wars, I guess, well, not the first one, but the first trilogy, there's a scene where like Vader, Obi-Wan, they're all dead, but they come back to life, sort of, or something like that in the celebration scene. My mom was like, "Oh no, immortality of the soul." So that was just out. And Godfather, I think I mentioned this. This is I've read a little bit of The Godfather, the actual book, but like I said, it'll probably be super canceled now. So I'm not going to advocate for it, but it's one of my favorites. I love the series. Godfather 3 sucked, but the first one and the second one is one of my favorites. And the Dark Knight series. I think this is the first time DC got it right because I'm just not a DC character. I usually don't like DC comics or anything like that. I'm Marvel all the way, but I love me some Batman. So, and plus Christian Bale look good in these movies, y'all. I
Oh
guess
yeah.
do I want pick movies based on how they look? Cuz
Also,
that's all I've been saying.
also,
He look good. He look good. He look good.
I am
But
also a Marvel girl, and I think I will be super cancelled. But I think that the main reason why Marvel is better is because they allow their characters to be human.
right.
Like DC puts their characters on a pedestal, and I guess that's not appealing or as appealing to me as human characters because we were expected to be perfect all the time as Jehovah's Witnesses, and maybe my subconscious just rejects that. But
I
the
think
Dark Knight
for
trilogy
me it was
was
the Christian
great.
Bale told the Batman story in a way that it may be I like Christian Bale storyline a lot better because they reboot a Batman, everybody Batman, George Clooney Batman, Jack Nicholson was Batman, anybody Batman, okay, but
I'm
I
sure
like
there's
Christian Bale as a
Joker.
Batman. I like Christian Bale as a Batman. I forget Christopher Nolan is the guy who did
Hmm.
this movie. He did
Christopher
this one
Nolan
and he
also
did
did.
Superman.
He also did Inception. But I'm curious though because Robert Pattinson is Batman now, and I'm curious how that will turn out because Robert
He has
Pattinson.
COVID. They had to stop filming.
Does he? I
Yeah.
didn't hear that. I know they
Yeah.
stopped filming, but
But they was just saying the main star before and then CNN said it was Robert Patterson.
oh shit,
So yeah. So
damn! I hope
I
he
hope
survives.
I
He's
hope
a
it
cool person. I'm not sure if any of y'all had seen any interviews with him, but he's such a fucking troll. I love him. He's like he's such an honest person. Like one time he was on the
I
Harry
said Jack
Potter.
Nicholson was Batman. I take that back. I'm sorry. Let me correct
He was
myself. That was
Joker.
Michael Keaton.
Yeah, and one time he was asked like, "What what keeps you going?" And he's like, "Coffee and hatred." He was like a kid when they filmed Harry Potter, and he's like coffee and hatred. He's super funny. He's such a big troll. I and discount his Twilight days. Okay, everyone needs to eat.
So
But
Christopher Nolan, why I like Dark Knight was because Christopher Nolan was the first time that actually gave a storyline. Like I watched the what is it called? The series Batman, this last Batman series that was on TV. What was it called? Gotham. I watched Gotham. Gotham was really good. But Christopher Nolan to me knows how to tell a story.
mhm,
And not to discount the first Batman, because I do think the first Batman with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson that will always be a classic. But he
mhm,
revived Batman in a way that actually made him a person. Like you get to see him at work. I mean, which you could never used to see Bruce Wayne at work. I mean, you could see him in personal relationships. You could see him in one of the films. You saw how he became Batman, like with the martial arts and all of that kind of stuff. Like he told a lot of the backstory.
yeah,
Whereas not just, hey, I'm Batman and he on the screen. It was like you got to see the storyline. So I don't know. I
yeah.
don't think anybody could tell a story like him. He did
And
Superman too.
also, I'm a sucker for the Joker in this series.
Oh yeah, Heath Ledger.
Like even if Heath Ledger was alive, that performance is fucking untouchable. Okay,
Yeah.
like you can throw anyone that role, and they are gonna. It's like, and I'm not hating on Will Smith. Don't misunderstand. I love him. I love Will Smith. Okay, I don't think he's like catching some bad so don't come for me. But and he was the saving grace of the remake of Aladdin. But listen, some performances just cannot be touched. And Robin Williams as the genie is one of those performances. Like no matter who you try to give that role to, they are all gonna
John
try.
Quan, what's his name? John Quan Phoenix, the one that actually starred
Oh,
in the
Joaquin
Joker.
Phoenix.
He got an Oscar and he did pretty good, but I don't know. I guess
Oh
my
my
heart
god.
is always with the Heath Ledger Joker. I
He
thought
did
that
good,
was he
but the main
expanded the role.
inspiration for that movie was Taxi Driver. And after watching The Joker, and hearing that the inspiration behind it was Taxi Driver, I watched Taxi Driver, and that movie is good too.
Whoops, what happened here? Hang on one second. All right. We spent a lot of time on Batman. Go ahead, Emma.
So my all-time favourite films, Apocalypto. I cannot say amazing enough for this film. Mel Gibson did a great job. Like, it's subtitled, and every time I watch this film, it makes me cry. I don't cry at a lot of films, but this film, honestly, it's just great. You just have to watch it. It's amazing. I don't want to give any of the plot away. It's a very powerful, really cool film. There's some funny bits at the start as well. Ravenous, again, another Robert Carlyle film, and he did this with Guy Pearce. And basically, it's based on the Wendigo type theory, where if you eat human flesh, you become stronger. And then the more human flesh you eat, the more stronger you become. So basically, you're immortal. And this film is just great. It's got some good twists. It's got a good soundtrack. And the whole film, it's just great. Even the ending, it's just like, wow. And I don't watch many comedies, but I had to put Orgasmo in here. Right, it's made by Trey Parker, and it's basically Ron Jeremy is making porn movie in a house, and a Mormon knocks on his front door, and this Mormon ends up making porns for Ron Jeremy, and it's just hilarious all the way through. Like, the characters are funny, the lines in the film's funny. Obviously, again, I don't want to give too much away, but if you appreciate, it's not overly funny. I can't do films that try too hard to be funny, because then to me they're just not funny. But to me, this film is just hilarious, and I make everyone watch it. And obviously, being Mormons, we can relate to why he really shouldn't be making porn movies. And there's one bit in the film where he's praying. He's praying with a statue of Jesus next to him, and he's like, "If you don't want me to do this film, please give me a sign." And then there's an earthquake, and the whole room starts shaking. The Jesus statue falls over, and he's like, "Any sign at all?" So, like, he goes on, and then he hides it from his girlfriend to start with, and then she finds out. But like, it's great. It's just funny.
I mean, honestly, Trey Parker and who's the other guy they make South Park with?
I can't think of his name.
Damn. Anyway, first of all, South Park, I watch that shit as I fall asleep every night. That shit's hilarious, and
It's
maybe it's
funny.
one of the reasons why I have insomnia, because I'd be half asleep and going. Like, one of the times I spent an hour watching South Park because they were doing like a 2-episode feature on like gay conversion therapy, and they were so funny and accurate that I was like, God damn it, you need to sleep. And I was like half eye watching the TV, like, I need to. And it's just hilarious because the character in question is not even gay. He just misunderstands. Like, in Hungarian, we have an expression. It's like crooked, meaning not straight, and he just misunderstands what that word means, and he says he thinks it means he's not a good student. So he goes to his parents and says, "I'm not a good student. I'm crooked."
Right.
And they send him to conversion therapy because they think he's gay, but he doesn't even know what the word means. He's just like, "Are you a bad student too?" And the guy sitting across him is like, "No, I'm in love with you." And then the priest comes in, and he's like, "What did you say?" And starts chasing the kid, and then the kid attempts to commit suicide. But obviously, it's a hilarious conversation between Butters, is the character who gets sent to conversion therapy, and the gay kid, and then because Butters still doesn't understand that the kid is gay, and that the priests are there to convert them. And
I want to ask. Sorry.
it's a
I want to ask
hilarious
you two.
conversation.
I want to ask you two and the audience: have you ever walked out on a film in the cinema?
Yeah, I walked out on the Jesus one where he was getting beat up. What was the called?
The
Mel
Passion of
Gibson.
Christ.
Yeah,
Oh, I've never
I
seen that.
walked.
I wanted to.
I tried to. First of all, I just want to acknowledge Katrina Smith's comment. Thank you so much. She
Thank
said this
you.
is the best glass table ever. We strive to do
Oh,
our
thanks.
best. Um, yeah, I actually stood up and I turned around to the audience and said, "How could y'all sit here and watch this? This is a snuff film." And my husband was embarrassed and grabbed me to try to take me out. I was like, I was shaking. I don't know what I thought I was going in to see, but I was not trying to see Jesus get his butt kicked the entire film. It was crazy, like from the beginning of the film to the end. It was
Right.
just, it seemed like it was just like people wanted to see a really bloody Jesus. That's what they got. So yeah, I
I
walked out
mean,
on that.
I have a bone with Mel Gibson that I didn't notice until again, I follow a lot of film analytics channels and all that, and one of the people I follow is uh, is Jewish, and he said that Mel Gibson is a very like black and white filmmaker, and he knows how in The Passion of Christ, like literally every Jewish character is presented as like a terrible person who sold out Jesus and all that, and they mentioned other Mel Gibson movies that I can't recall. But you mentioned Passion of the Christ, and it just
Yeah, Mel Gibson got a lot of backlash for being anti-Semitic and racist.
Hmm.
And they a lot of people go back and look at his films and criticize his films based on comments that was released, some audios that was released. Well, I think his girlfriend released them in the middle of an argument of him saying n-words, saying all stuff about Jews,
Wow.
and he didn't take on any of it back. That's the thing about it. He really feels that way about Jews and stuff. He continuously says stuff like that all the time.
and even in Braveheart, it's like very polar, like very black and white. Like this group of people is good, that group of people is bad, and maybe it's just me. I just don't like that kind of filmmaking. I think it lacks intricacy and deep thought when one of the characters is good, one is bad, and there's no gray area where they clash, where they can clash. And yeah, that's why I hate like modern horror movies, because sometimes I'm sitting here like, kill that bitch. She's stupid. Like at this point, what you're doing is natural selection.
We got some more comments from the Facebook group, and I think our question was, what
Can I
you were?
just say about the one I
Yeah.
walked out on? I went to see Backbeat
Oh, yeah.
with he was a JW fiance at the time, so I don't know if you've watched Backbeat. It was the story of the Beatles.
No.
And quite near the start, there was a lot of sex in it. And this was a really hyped up film, and the cinema was rammed. There was not a spare seat in the whole theatre. And we were sat in the middle of the row, and he made me get up and walk out.
Because of the sex scenes?
Yeah. So I literally had to like step over people trying to get over them. You know, when someone's sat down and you're in the cinema and you're trying to walk past them, and people were laughing at us. I was so embarrassed. I was just like, I can't believe you just made me walk out of that film.
Oh my gosh. Well, I can see somebody walking out because of the sex.
But then he'd get home and listen to fucking Slayer. But make me walk out on a film that had sex in it, it just didn't make sense.
Oh, it never makes sense. It's okay. So we asked what movies you were not allowed to watch as a Jehovah's Witness in one group, and we are getting The Exorcist again. And that's a really good, hot one. Everybody's saying The Exorcist. Do everybody want to watch The Exorcist? Is that it? And Predator and Terminator. That's a good one. I didn't watch those until after I left. So we want to thank everybody for joining us on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitter. Let's see, what do we have coming up? Well, you can catch our live stream. I just want to show off this flyer so bad. You can catch our live stream every Sunday here at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 6 p.m. what UK time?
Yep.
And is it what is it? 7:30? 7?
No, 7.
And what time zone is that?
That's Central European time.
Okay. And our upcoming stream is our Colts versus Colts, our second live stream. That's our part 2. It's going to be a live chat. We're really excited about that because we have an ex-Scientologist.
Aaron, who was on the Leah Remini's show, he was on the Aftermath show.
Yeah, and so Sam Young.
Yeah,
we thought we were going to get him from the Mormon.
Who did Protect Every Child. So.
Yep. So it should be a full show. Our application actually allows us to have almost like Zoom-like capabilities. So this might be an interesting show with all of these voices. So you're going to have to bear with us. It might go over a little our normal time.
Sorry, some of our guests from last week are back on with us as well. So
Yep. And speaking of films, Molly just started a film review channel, right? Did I get that right?
Art review channel. My first.
Oh, art. Sorry.
But I plan to do films, series, and books because I have an addiction problem to consuming these types of media. Okay, I read, watch, and all that. Like I need to have some stimulation all the time, and I have a very analytical mind, and I thought I would just ramble on about stuff like that because I have a lot of thoughts when I'm reading and when I'm watching stuff.
I'm sorry, I got that wrong. I thought it was a film channel. I'm sorry, it's art. Art.
Well, now we've done films, we can do like TV programs and series. Talk about what we wasn't allowed to watch as JWs, what our favourites are now. So that'd be a cool one. That'd be a cool one to do next.
Yeah, thank you, Angela, for joining us and all of our YouTubers. And I think I said this before, but we are really closing out this time. So make sure you catch us next week at the same time, Sunday at 1 p.m. We also have a makeup and chat where we chat about light topics like this all the time. We do pretty much everything. And because the way our week's been going, we might be talking about anything. Because it's been drama with my refrigerator last week. We just talk about anything on that channel.
Literally. You'll be shocked at some of the subjects we get into.
No, so if you're just looking for a live that's not as structured as this one, maybe you don't. And it's the guys, we get a lot of guys that come on our live streams for when we do our makeup now. So
maybe they're after the gossip, so they're just like,
right, the gossip and stuff. So like if you want just a lighter chat every week like this one, you can come and join us on our makeup and chat.
And if you want to do your makeup with us, feel free to like jump on the live.
Yeah. We've had some
none of us are special, none of us are qualified. We mess up, we do our makeup, and
Oh, I want to give Marina Dine's comment about Maleficent. They said she was really bad. She looked like a demon, but watched it recently. It's her new fave film. Okay. Everybody is progressing past the Jehovah Witness organization and digging into different films. And I think Maleficent is, that's who I want to be for Halloween.
Actually, I don't think I told you guys. Me and my sister, we cleaned at UCI Cinema. And Demons was showing, and this was like back when we were JWs, and I think this was about 95. So 2 of the auditoriums were showing the film Demons, and my sister ended up cleaning in one. And there was a big popcorn carton. You know the way they're shaped? They can only roll around in a circle.
Okay.
But she was cleaning, and she could hear something, and she looked behind, and on the floor there was this like popcorn carton. So she just thought, okay. She said she got further down, like, because they were slanted, obviously. And she got further down and turned around, and this carton was there. And she said, like, it was literally following her around down this slope, but it wasn't possible for it to roll because it would go in a circle. And then I remember I went into the cleaning cupboard, and I think my sister and somebody else was there, and I was swilling out my mop, and this metal thing just, like, flew off the shelf past my head. We were just like, Did you all see that? And we were just like, yeah. So then we were scared to go back because they never turned the lights on properly either. So we were scared to go back and clean when there was like shows like Demons showing in the cinema.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Do you think so now? Like, do you think you would feel that way now? Do you think that was superstition, like JW superstition left over, or did you?
I just think it's probably haunted anyway. I just think it just happened. It happened when that film was showing. So.
Oh gosh, no.
Just
hauntings,
like, yeah.
None of that.
But obviously, because everyone's like demons when you're JW, because Demons was showing, it just intensified the whole thing. Because there, lots of times I'd be cleaning and I'd be looking up thinking that somebody was watching me and there'd be nobody there.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. When you watch those films, you have to always be looking over your shoulder, keeping lights on and all this stuff. That's just stress I don't need in my life. I just can't.
But a lot of our town is historical and it's built on a lot of graveyards and graves that have been moved and stuff. So I'm not surprised, like, that there's a lot of stuff that goes on.
Okay, so you're gonna be Maleficent for Halloween. What are you gonna be, Emma?
I think Halloween's going to be cancelled, isn't it?
Probably.
By now, I've normally planned, so I don't know. I'm running out of ideas.
Okay, I'm gonna put an asterisk by that because I'm trying to lose weight. I'm not trying to be an overweight Maleficent or whatever. So I might have to choose something a little bit more in my range. But that's the goal.
I'm running out of ideas because I've done like zombie nun, zombie schoolgirl, zombie nurse. I did zombie Viking. I've done zombie Grecian.
I know I'm gonna order wax and do this.
Oh wow, that's special.
I know I'm gonna fuck it up, but I got inspired to do it because we are doing the glass table and we're talking about being in a cult, and that's the cover for American Horror Story Cult, which is also one of the big no series I watched after I left. That I lost my horror series virginity to, if you like. That was the first very gory and scary horror series that I watched, and I think
it's probably a good idea to let the viewers know now as well that leading up to Halloween, we're going to tell people our stories and experiences of true life. What do you call it? Kind of paranormal experiences and things like that coming up to Halloween. So,
it might be have a good show about paranormal.
I have loads. I've experienced so much since I left. Like I've got 23 years worth of literal I've got a selfie with a ghost when I asked a spirit because it was following me on a ghost tour, and I had an EMF reader and it kept going red, and the tour guide said something's following you, and then I literally said, do you want to take a selfie with us? And this EMF reader went red, screaming. So I said to my mate, take a picture, that's a yes. And there's literally a ghost right behind my shoulder. You can see his face, his helmet. It looks like, because it was by a castle, so it looks like, like the Roman helmets with the nose piece, and I can literally in the picture see his eyeballs.
That's creepy.
I've literally had loads of stuff happen to me, but since I left, I did tarot cards straight away, and I've always been very open-minded about all that kind of stuff, so I'm looking forward to talking about things coming up to Halloween.
Maria Jane says, does this theme of films make you think of JW Sparlock, warrior wizard? We've made the character a hero now. We left only JW in March. Good for you for leaving Jehovah Witnesses in March. That's really recent.
Congrats. Welcome to your life.
I know. It begins now. There is life after leaving the Jehovah's Witnesses. We're going to go ahead and wrap up our live stream now. Thank you guys for joining us. And make sure you hit the replay if you're catching us in the middle of the stream. And don't miss us again next week for our second installment of the cults versus cults. See you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.